The distress signal had been broadcasting across the galaxy for 3 months when it finally reached Earth. Most civilized species had heard it and moved on. The Zephyrians were known to be a peaceful but weak race, and their planet was surrounded by the nightmare realm called the Void Sector. No sane species would risk their lives for a rescue mission there. The message was simple. Help us. Pirates have taken our world. We are dying. Please, someone help us. But every species that received it made the same calculation. The Zephyrians were doomed. Then the humans heard it. The message reached a small monitoring station on Earth's moon, where Lieutenant Sarah Chan was working the night shift. She listened to the desperate plea 3 times before hitting the emergency button. Within hours, the Terran Defense Force was mobilizing the largest rescue fleet in human history. The other species watched in horror as the humans prepared to enter the Void Sector, a region of space where even pirates feared to linger long. They called Earth immediately. Don't go there. It's suicide. That sector has destroyed entire fleets. But the humans just smiled and said something that chilled the galaxy. Thanks for the warning. We'll be careful. Sarah Chun rubbed her tired eyes and reached for her 3rd cup of coffee. The lunar monitoring station was quiet at this hour, with only the soft hum of computers and the distant rumble of air recyclers. Earth hung in the sky outside her window, a blue marble against the black of space. The communication array picked up thousands of signals every day. Most were routine trade requests, navigation data, scientific exchanges between the civilized worlds. Sarah had been doing this job for 2 years, and she could sort through the noise quickly. Then she heard it. The voice was soft, musical, and filled with desperation. It spoke in Galactic Standard, the common language used for interspecies communication. This is Elder Kithara of the Zephyrian Council. Our world is dying. The Black Talon pirates have taken our cities. They kill our people for sport. We have no weapons, no defenses. Please, if anyone hears this message, help us. We are in the Kepler 442 system, 3rd planet. Help us. The message repeated, and Sarah felt her heart sink. She knew about Zephyrians. They were one of the oldest peaceful races in the galaxy. They had never developed weapons or military technology because they had never needed them. Their planet was beautiful, covered in crystal forests and singing rivers. They were artists, philosophers, and healers. But their system was in the Void Sector. Sarah had heard stories about the Void Sector since her first day in the Defense Force. It was a region of space where gravitational anomalies, radiation storms, and spatial distortions made travel nearly impossible. Ships went in and never came out. Even pirates avoided it except for the most desperate or crazy ones. She listened to the message again, hearing the pain in Elder Kithara's voice. Then she did something that would change galactic history. She hit the emergency alert button. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez was having breakfast with his family when his comm unit started screaming. Emergency alerts from the lunar station were rare, maybe once every few years. He kissed his wife goodbye and was in his shuttle within 10 minutes. At Defense Command, Sarah Chun was waiting for him with the recording. The Admiral listened once, then again, then sat back in his chair. How long has this been broadcasting? He asked. According to the signal analysis, about 3 months, sir. 3 months. The Admiral frowned. That means every species in this sector has heard it by now. Yes, sir. I checked the galactic communication logs. The message has been received by the Altarians, the Centauri Federation, the Vegan Alliance, and at least a dozen other civilizations. And none of them responded? Sarah shook her head. No, sir. I think they're all too afraid of the Void Sector. Admiral Rodriguez stood up and walked to the window. Earth was rising over the lunar horizon, beautiful and blue. He thought about his own children, safe at home, and imagined them crying out for help while the galaxy turned away. Sarah, patch me through to the Galactic Council emergency frequency. Sir, I want to talk to anyone who's listening. The communication array powered up, broadcasting on the frequency used for interspecies emergencies. Within minutes, responses started coming in. The first was from Ambassador Thexlor of the Altarian Republic. His image appeared on the main screen, tall, gray-skinned, with large black eyes that showed genuine concern. Admiral Rodriguez, we received your signal. Please tell me you're not considering what I think you're considering. We're going to help the Zephyrians, the Admiral said simply. 3 more screens lit up. Ambassador Velterra of the Centauri Federation, her blue skin pale with worry. Captain Zex of the Vegan Alliance, his insect-like features clicking with distress. And Elder Mordun of the Andromedan Collective, his ancient face grave. Admiral, Velterra said, the void sector is death. The gravitational anomalies alone will tear your ships apart. The radiation will cook your crews. And if by some miracle you survive all that, the Black Talon pirates will destroy you. We appreciate your concern, Admiral Rodriguez replied. But we can't just let an entire species die. You don't understand, Captain Zex clicked rapidly. The Black Talon aren't ordinary pirates. They're the worst criminals in the galaxy. They've been exiled to the void sector because no civilized system will let them dock. They have nothing to lose and they enjoy killing. Elder Mordun leaned forward. Admiral, my people are old. We have seen many species rise and fall. The humans are young, brave, and foolish. Do not let your bravery become the end of your species. Admiral Rodriguez looked at each of them, then back at Sarah, who was still holding the recording of Elder Kithra's desperate plea. We're going, he said. We leave in 48 hours. The alien ambassadors exchanged glances. Finally, Ambassador Thexlor spoke. Then may whatever gods you believe in have mercy on your souls. The Terran Defense Force had never assembled a fleet like this one. 12 heavy cruisers, 30 destroyers, 6 medical ships, and supply vessels loaded with food, medicine, and construction materials. But most unusual of all were the volunteer civilian ships, cargo haulers, mining vessels, even luxury yachts, whose captains had heard about the mission and insisted on helping. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the TDF Indomitable, the fleet's flagship, watching the organized chaos of preparation. Her ship was one of the newest in the fleet, built with the latest human technology. It was fast, tough, and loaded with weapons that other species considered barbarically powerful. Captain, her communications officer called out, we're receiving a priority message from the Galactic Council. Put it on screen. The image that appeared made several bridge officers gasp. It was High Counselor Zarthek, the leader of the Galactic Council and one of the most powerful beings in known space. His species, the Eternals, had been spacefaring for over 1 million years. When he spoke, civilizations listened. Captain Vasquez. His ancient voice carried the weight of eons. I speak not as a counselor, but as someone who has seen too many species die needlessly. The void sector has claimed entire fleets. Ships with technology beyond yours, crews with centuries of experience. What makes you think humans can succeed where others have failed? Elena straightened. With respect, counselor, maybe they failed because they were trying to survive. We're not trying to survive. We're trying to save someone else. The ancient being studied her for a long moment. Explain. Every species that's gone into the void sector was looking out for themselves first. They went in careful, scared, ready to retreat at the first sign of trouble. We're going in with one goal. Save the Zephyrians. We'll take whatever risks we have to take. Even if it means your own destruction? Elena looked around her bridge at her crew. Young faces, determined faces, scared faces. But not one of them looked like they wanted to turn back. Yes, sir. Even then. Zarthek was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded slowly. Then perhaps there is hope after all. I will monitor your progress, Captain. And I will pray to the old gods that your courage is enough. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Well, Elena said finally, no pressure, right? Her crew laughed nervously, but their eyes were bright with determination. The edge of the void sector looked like a wall of twisted space. Stars bent and warped, their light stretched into impossible colors. Space itself seemed to ripple like water. Admiral Rodriguez watched from the flag bridge of the Indomitable as his fleet approached the barrier. Every ship had been modified with the best human technology. Reinforced hulls, upgraded shields, and navigation computers programmed with every scrap of data they could find about the void sector. "Admiral," the sensor officer reported, "I'm reading massive gravitational distortions ahead. The computer says it's impossible, but the readings are consistent." "What's impossible about it?" "Sir, according to physics, space-time distortions like this should collapse into black holes. But they're stable. It's like someone built a maze out of warped space." The fleet's chief scientist, Dr. Amanda Foster, appeared on the communication screen from her lab ship. "Admiral, I've been studying the sensor data. I think the void sector isn't natural. Someone or something created these distortions deliberately." "Created them? Why?" "The best guess? To keep people out. Or to trap them inside." Admiral Rodriguez felt a chill run down his spine. "Doctor, are you saying this whole region is some kind of prison?" "That's exactly what I'm saying, and we're about to fly right into it." The Admiral looked at his fleet. Thousands of human men and women who had volunteered for what everyone else considered a suicide mission. They could still turn back. They could save themselves and let the Zephyrians die. He thought about his daughter's face when he'd told her where he was going. She was only 8, but she'd looked at him with such pride. "Daddy's going to save the crystal people?" she'd asked. "We're going to try, sweetheart." "Good. They sound nice." "All ships," the Admiral announced on the fleet frequency, "prepare for entry into the void sector. Remember, we're not here to prove how tough we are. We're here to save lives. Stay close, watch each other's backs, and let's bring those people home." The fleet moved forward into the twisted space. Reality bent around them like a funhouse mirror. Stars appeared above and below simultaneously. Gravity pulled in 3 directions at once. Several crew members got violently sick as their inner ears tried to make sense of directions that didn't exist. But the ships held together. Human engineering, built to survive in the harsh environment of space, proved tough enough to handle even this nightmare. 6 hours later, they emerged from the distortion field into normal space. And there, hanging like a blue-green jewel against the stars, was Zephyr. "My God!" whispered Captain Vasquez. "It's beautiful." The planet was everything the stories had said. Crystal formations rose from continents covered in silver forests. The oceans were a deep turquoise that seemed to glow with inner light. Even from orbit, they could see the elegant spires of Zephyrian cities. They could also see the black ships of the Black Talon pirates surrounding the planet like a swarm of angry wasps. Captain Skargoth of the Black Talon had been having a good 3 months. The Zephyrians had proved even more entertaining than he'd hoped. Their cities were beautiful to destroy, their technology was valuable to steal, and their people made such interesting sounds when they begged for mercy. He was in the middle of planning his next raid when his sensor operator spoke up. "Captain, I'm detecting ships entering the system." Skargoth didn't look up from his holographic map of Zephyrian settlements. "How many? Another smuggler trying to sneak in?" "No, sir. I count 48 ships. Big ones." That got Skargoth's attention. He turned to look at the tactical display and felt his blood run cold. The ships were arranged in perfect military formation, moving with the precision of a professional fleet. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "they're hailing us." "Put it on screen." The face that appeared was unlike anything in Skargoth's experience. The being looked young but had hard eyes that seemed much older. Its skin was a warm brown color, and its features were symmetrical in a way that was almost pleasing. But there was something about its expression that made Skargoth's predatory instincts scream warnings. I am Admiral Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force, the being said in perfect galactic standard. You will immediately cease all hostile actions against the people of Zephyr and withdraw from this system. Skargoth laughed, showing his razor-sharp teeth. And what happens if we don't, little mammal? The human's expression didn't change. Then we'll make you. You and what army? Skargoth gestured at his tactical display, which showed nearly 100 pirate ships. I have you outnumbered 2-1, and this is my territory. You're in the void sector now, human. The place where civilized species come to die. We're not a civilized species, Admiral Rodriguez replied calmly. We're Deathworlders, and you have 30 seconds to start withdrawing, or we're going to show you the difference. Skargoth had never heard the term Deathworlder before, but something about the way the human said it made his skin crawl. Fire on the lead ship, he ordered. The Black Talon fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic missiles filled space between the two fleets. Any civilized fleet would have been vaporized in seconds. The human ships took the barrage on their shields and armor, shrugged it off like rain, and fired back. What happened next would be talked about in pirate bars for generations, those pirates who survived to tell the tale anyway. The first thing that shocked the pirates was the humans' weapons. Most civilized species used energy weapons, clean, efficient beams that disabled enemy ships without unnecessary destruction. The humans used kinetic weapons that fired chunks of metal at significant fractions of the speed of light. The second thing that shocked them was the humans' tactics. Civilized warfare was about disabling enemy ships, forcing surrender, minimizing casualties. The humans aimed for critical systems and fired until their targets stopped moving. The third thing that shocked them was how fast it was over. Captain Elena Vasquez watched from the Indomitable's bridge as pirate ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Her tactical officer was calling out targets with mechanical precision. Raider-class vessel at bearing 27 Mark IV, weapons hot. Target acquired. Firing. The ship's main railgun spoke with a sound like thunder. A tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole crossed the space between ships in less than a second and punched through the pirate vessel's hull like it was made of paper. Target neutralized. Next target. This wasn't warfare as the galaxy understood it. This was extermination. On the pirate flagship, Captain Skargoth watched his fleet being systematically destroyed and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. How are they doing this? He screamed at his sensor operator. Their ships aren't that much bigger than ours. Sir, their weapons are... They're using projectile weapons. Solid metal projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not that. Another of Skargoth's ships disappeared in a ball of fire. And their hulls? The sensor operator continued, his voice cracking. They're not using standard alloys. It's some kind of composite metal I've never seen. Our weapons barely scratch them. Impossible. What kind of species builds ships like that? His communications officer looked up with a pale face. Sir, I've been scanning their database emissions. According to their computer data, they call their homeworld Earth. The planetary classification is Class 12 Death World. The bridge went silent except for the sound of more ships exploding outside. Class 12. Skargoth whispered. That's impossible. Nothing lives on a Class 12 Death World. Class 12 was the highest rating on the galactic habitability scale. It meant a planet where literally everything was trying to kill you. Extreme weather, toxic atmosphere, dangerous wildlife, seismic instability, radiation, and more. Most species considered a Class 3 planet to be barely habitable. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we've lost 60% of our fleet. Should we surrender? Skargoth looked at the tactical display. The human ships were moving through his fleet like sharks through a school of fish. They weren't just winning, they were winning without taking significant damage. Open a channel, he said quietly. Admiral Rodriguez's face appeared on the screen again. This time, Skargoth noticed details he'd missed before. The human's eyes were the eyes of a predator. His posture was relaxed but ready, like a hunting cat. And behind him, Skargoth could see other humans working with calm efficiency while ships exploded around them. These weren't prey animals playing at being warriors. These were apex predators who had somehow learned to build starships. "We surrender," Skargoth said. "No," Admiral Rodriguez replied. "You don't get to surrender. You get to leave. Right now. All of you. And if we ever detect Black Talon ships in this system again, we won't give you a chance to run. But our bases, our supplies, are now forfeit. Consider it payment for 3 months of terrorizing innocent people." Skargoth wanted to argue, but another of his ships exploded, and he realized the humans were still firing even during the surrender negotiation. "Go," Admiral Rodriguez said, "before I change my mind about letting you live." The remaining Black Talon ships fled into the twisted space of the Void Sector, leaving behind their bases, their loot, and their pride. Elder Kithara had been preparing to die when the shooting started. For 3 months, she had watched her people suffer under the pirates' cruelty. The beautiful crystal cities of Zephyr had been scarred by weapons fire. The singing rivers ran silent, their harmony broken by fear. Now she stood in the ruins of the council chamber, looking up at the sky where lights flashed like falling stars. The pirates' ships were exploding, one by one, with mechanical precision. Her aide, a young Zephyrian named Veltar, came running into the chamber. "Elder, ships are landing at the spaceport, but they're not pirate ships." Kithara's heart song flickered with hope. "Show me." They walked through the crystal corridors to the observation deck. Below them, the spaceport that had been occupied by pirates for months was now filled with ships unlike anything in Kithara's experience. They were blocky, utilitarian, and scarred by what looked like countless battles. But they had medical symbols on their hulls. "They're rescue ships," Veltar whispered. As they watched, the ships opened and beings emerged. They walked upright on 2 legs like Zephyrians, but they were shorter and more solid-looking. Their skin came in different shades of brown and pink, and hair covered the tops of their heads. But the most remarkable thing about them was how they moved. Zephyrians were graceful, floating across the ground like dancers. These beings moved with purpose, like they were always ready for trouble. Yet they were carrying medical supplies and food. "Elder," one of her council members called out, "they're requesting permission to enter the city. They say they're here to help." Kithara felt tears forming in her large, silver eyes. After 3 months of prayers going unanswered, someone had finally heard them. Tell them yes. Tell them welcome." An hour later, Kithara stood in the main plaza of her city, facing a human for the first time. The being was smaller than her, but something about its presence made it seem larger than life. It wore a uniform covered with symbols she didn't recognize, and its eyes were kind but alert. "Elder Kithara?" the being said in accented but understandable galactic standard. "I'm Admiral Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. We received your message." You came," Kithara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We sent our plea to every species in the galaxy. No one answered." "We answered," Admiral Rodriguez said simply, "and we're here to help. My medical teams are setting up aid stations throughout the city. We have food, medicine, and engineers to help repair the damage. But first, I need to know, are there any pirates left on the planet?" "A few small groups in the outer settlements." "But Admiral, how did you get here?" "The Void Sector is dangerous, yes. We lost 2 ships getting through the distortions. But we made it." He paused, and his expression softened. "Elder, no one should have to face something like this alone. We're sorry it took us so long to hear your message." Kithara felt her heart song returning for the first time in months. Around the plaza, she could see her people emerging from hiding places, their silver skin glowing with renewed hope. Human medics were setting up equipment, human engineers were scanning damaged buildings, and human soldiers were taking defensive positions. "Admiral," she said, "what can we do to repay you?" Admiral Rodriguez looked around at the crystal spires, the flowing architecture, and the beautiful but traumatized people of Zephyr. "Just be yourselves again," he said. "The galaxy needs more beauty in it, not less." 3 weeks later, Elder Kithara stood in the rebuilt council chamber, looking at a holographic display showing ships arriving and departing from Zephyr. But these weren't pirate raiders or human warships. They were merchant vessels, medical ships, and construction craft from dozens of different species. Admiral Rodriguez stood beside her, looking tired but satisfied. "I don't understand," Kithara said. "For 3 months, no one would help us. Now, suddenly, everyone wants to assist with reconstruction." The Admiral smiled. "Word spreads fast in the galaxy. When the other species heard that humans had successfully rescued you, they realized the void sector wasn't as impossible to navigate as they thought." "But that's not the whole truth, is it?" Rodriguez sighed. "No, it's not. The truth is they're embarrassed. Every civilized species in this sector heard your distress call and decided you weren't worth the risk. Now they're trying to make up for it." Kithara's heart song turned sad. "They feel guilty. Some do. Others are just impressed that anyone survived a confrontation with the Black Talon pirates. And some—" He paused, looking uncomfortable. "Some what, Admiral? Some are scared of us now. They're calling us the Deathworld species that doesn't know when to quit. They want to stay on our good side." Kithara studied the human's face. Despite his exhaustion, there was something peaceful about his expression. "Are you satisfied with that? Being feared?" "No," Rodriguez said immediately. "We didn't come here to frighten anyone. We came here to help. But if being feared keeps other species from turning their backs on people in need, maybe that's not entirely bad." A chime sounded, indicating an incoming message. The hologram shifted to show High Counselor Zarthek, the ancient leader of the Galactic Council. "Admiral Rodriguez, Elder Kithara, I bring greetings from the Council." "Counselor," both leaders said simultaneously. The ancient being's expression was unreadable. "Admiral, your actions in the Void Sector have complicated things for the Council. The other species are asking questions about humanity that we cannot answer." "What kind of questions?" "They want to know how a species so young can be so effective in combat. They want to know why you took risks that no other species would take. And they want to know what other surprises your people might have." Admiral Rodriguez straightened. "Counselor, we're not hiding anything. Yes, we come from a dangerous world. Yes, that made us tough. But we're not conquerors or aggressors. We just believe that when someone asks for help, you help them. Even at the cost of your own lives? Especially then." Zarthek was quiet for a long moment. "Admiral, I have lived for 3 million years. I have seen countless species rise and fall. Most destroy themselves through war, greed, or fear. But occasionally, very rarely, a species emerges that changes the galaxy simply by being what they are." He paused, and when he continued, his ancient voice carried a note of something like wonder. "The Council has voted. Humanity is being granted full membership in the galactic community, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Furthermore, the Terran Defense Force is being designated as the galaxy's official emergency response organization. When disasters strike and other species cannot or will not respond, the call will go out to Earth." Admiral Rodriguez looked stunned. "Counselor, we're honored, but we're still new to space." "Are you sure?" "Admiral," Zarthek interrupted, 3 weeks ago, you did something that no other species in the galaxy was willing to do. You saved an entire civilization because it was the right thing to do. If that doesn't qualify you to help protect the galaxy, then nothing does." 6 months after the rescue of Zephyr, the galaxy had changed. Trade routes that had been abandoned due to pirate activity were reopened under Terran Defense Force protection. Species that had feuded for centuries began talking to each other again, knowing that human mediators would ensure fair treatment for all sides. And when disaster struck, a plague on Rigel 7, earthquakes on Tau Ceti 3, a solar flare threatening the colonies of Alpha Centauri, the call went out across space. Send the humans. Elder Kithara often visited Earth now, serving as the Zephyrian ambassador to humanity. She loved walking through human cities, marveling at the controlled chaos of a Deathworld species that had somehow learned to cooperate instead of just compete. She was in New York City when she received a message that made her heartsong soar with joy. A new distress call had been received, this time from the Andromedan frontier. A species called the Quiet Ones had been enslaved by raiders and were crying out for help. Already, she could see the lights of ships launching from Earth's orbital platforms. The humans were going to answer the call, just as they always did. Admiral Rodriguez, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Emergency Response, appeared on her communication device. Elder, we're heading out to Andromeda. Want to come along? Kithara smiled, her silver skin glowing with happiness. Admiral, I wouldn't miss it for the galaxy. As the human fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope to another desperate species, the galaxy settled into a new era. An era where no cry for help would go unanswered, where no species would face extinction alone, and where the Deathworlders of Earth stood ready to risk everything for beings they had never met. The humans had taught the galaxy a simple lesson. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is care about someone other than yourself. And in a universe full of dangers, that made all the difference. The end.